Ark Royal is the largest ship in the Royal Navy. We're about 21,000 tonnes, 209 metres long, 36 metres wide at our widest, and at the waterline about 27.5 metres wide. So we're very big. We're a small town of 1,150 people, sometimes goes up to 1,200, sometimes a bit less than that. So it's a big floating hotel. It's a 3-star hotel. The supply officer would say a 5-star hotel, but I always tell them it's a 3-star hotel, which I push through the water at 30 knots. To propel us through the water, we've got 4 marine gas turbine engines, 25,000 horsepower each. And we can run those in a variety of configurations, 1 engine, 2 engines, 3 engines, or indeed 4 engines, and particularly in benign conditions like this, when we need a lot of wind over the deck to get the Harriers off, then we need all 4 engines, and indeed may need as much as 30 knots. Those engines are pretty thirsty beasts. They use about 22 tonnes of fuel an hour at maximum power, so in road parlance terms, that's about 1 fuel tanker an hour. But we don't often do full power, and for a Harrier launch, for example, we only will need that for perhaps 10 minutes, and then it's back down to the frugal efficiency of 1 engine, which can happily push us through the water again at 14 knots. The engines are controlled from the ship control centre, and that's really, in spite of what you may hear from other people, that is really the nerve centre of the ship, and everything, all the running machinery is more or less controlled from there. And that involves everything from the freshwater distilling plants to the main engines that we talked about, to the diesel generators which provide light and power, and the 100 other auxiliary systems which keep this floating hotel running. It's worth talking a little bit about the diesel generators. They're Paxton Valentas, 1.5 megawatts each, and again we run 3 or 4 of those at all times, which is enough to power a small town, and they're quite impressive in themselves. We have a lot of spare capacity electrically wise in the event of action, and action damage, of course, which is our business at the end of the day. We're a war-fighting machine, so that if something gets damaged, we can still supply power to the right place. Can't stay at sea indefinitely, of course, so we do have to take both solids and fluids. Diesel fuel is generally the first thing we run out of, in spite of carrying 3,800 tonnes. So we replenish liquids with a tanker, and we can take, with 2 replenishing points, we can take up to 1,200 tonnes of fuel an hour, which is a pretty staggering statistic, I always think. And aviation fuel as well, we can take that at the same time. And then we do a thing called the replenishment of solids. We carry rather more endurance with food, dry food and frozen food, and we use a thing called a jack-stay transfer, which involves passing a line between the store ship and ourselves, or in our case, being an aircraft carrier, 2 lines. We have 2 points for replenishment, and we pass across the stores that way. Also, with lots of aircraft at our disposal, we use helicopters in a system called the VERTREP, the vertical replenishment, and they add into they reduce the length of time for replenishment by carrying the stores across in underslung loads. One of my other jobs, apart from being the Marine Engineer Officer, is I'm the head of the ship's firefighting organisation. And quite honestly, that is the biggest threat that we face in peacetime. We carry a lot of fuel, a lot of ammunition, and a lot of high-power electrical equipment. We still have smokers on board. So the whole package really is a fairly dangerous environment for fire. So we have a highly trained fire brigade on board, of which I'm the head, of about 70 people. That's our normal sort of brigade, if you like, all with different jobs and all highly trained specialists. So that should we have a fire right now, they all know what to do.
You hear there? This is HQ1. Fire, fire, fire. Fire in the ops room at 5 kilo. Attack party muster at the scene of the fire. Support party muster at FRPP 2-1 at 5 Lima Port. Containment party muster at section base 3. Air emergency party muster at FRPP 4-1 at 4 Charlie Port. Establish the BA dump in 5 Lima Junior Rates Dining Hall. Standing C first aid party, close up at the sick bay. What have you got so far?
Established boundary cooling at starboard port, the command planning room office and ETU, and the vents on say port and starboard. Forward with a VOE shaft.
Now that of course requires constant training, not just for the specialists but across the board for the whole ship's company, because every man has got to be, and woman of course, has got to be a trained firefighter. And so that involves a variety of exercises and training scenarios, such as putting people into thick smoke using breathing apparatus, escaping from thick smoke using emergency life support apparatus, damage control, shoring timbers, softwood wedges, and so on and so forth. In addition to all of that, of course, we need a number of first aid trained people on board, and we generally aim for 10% of the ship's company are properly first aid trained. And again, that involves a lot of training to keep 10%, so we need 120 of proper first aiders on board at any one time. And that's really just to give us the first aid action in the event of actual damage, casualties, or indeed in a peacetime sort of incident with a fire or a flood where people might get hurt.
Sick bay, Dickie, sick bay. Leading Stewart Jones, first aid.